Hello and welcome back to The Critique.
Hello?
Today we're looking at a commentary video transcript. It's an analysis of Candace Owens' claims about Emmanuel Macron, his wife, and how she's using the new Epstein files to...
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
There is. So let's just get right into the feedback.
Let's do it. I've read through it, and I have to say, the passion it's definitely there. The writer has a really strong stance.
Oh, yeah.
But I felt like I was being pulled in, a dozen directions at once.
That feeling, that pulling apart, that's exactly where we need to start.
Okay.
So the first and I think most critical area for improvement is just structural clarity. The piece would benefit so much from separating the specific claims being critiqued instead of, conflating them in this stream of consciousness.
It feels authentic to the speaker, maybe, but it's exhausting for the listener.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're dealing with a topic this convoluted. Right now, the source material just jumps between two totally distinct points.
Okay, what are the 2 points?
So, on one hand, you have the claim that Macron is gay.
Right.
Which has some, let's say, tangential connection to the Epstein files through Steve Bannon.
And on the other hand?
The full-on conspiracy theory that his wife, Brigitte, is a man.
Right. And in the script, those two things are just blended into a smoothie. The writer will say something like, she said Macron was gay. That must mean he's also married to a man, suing a podcaster, mummy in her basement. It's just chaotic.
And it creates a boy who cried wolf scenario.
How so?
Well, by mixing the, let's call it valid evidence, the actual text in the files, with the ridicule of the conspiracy, the listener completely loses track of where the facts end and the nonsense begins.
So how do we untangle that knot? Because they are related in Owen's narrative, right? She's using one to prove the other.
Exactly. And that's why the critique needs to be smarter than what it's critiquing.
Okay.
We need a structural overhaul. And I think the best way is using a Mott and Bailey analysis.
Mott and Bailey. I've heard the term floating around like in debate circles, but practically speaking, what does that look like in a script like this?
Okay, think of a medieval castle.
Right.
The Mott is the stone keep on the hill. It's defensible. It's really hard to attack. In this case, the Mott is the Epstein files contained a text about Macron having a boyfriend.
Okay, because that's a defensible statement. The text exists.
The text exists. Now, the Bailey is the fertile land down below. It's desirable, but it's completely indefensible.
And that's the radical claim.
Therefore, his wife is a man and a groomer.
I see. So the rhetorical trick Owens is playing is that when she gets attacked on the trans wife theory, the Bailey, she just retreats up the hill to the boyfriend text, the Mott.
And says, look, I have proof.
Precisely.
Ah, okay.
And the weakness in the current draft is that the speaker tries to attack both the Mott and the Bailey at the same time. It feels like whack-a-mole.
So you're saying we explicitly separate them?
Yes. First, you address the Mott. You acknowledge the files exist. Then separately, you dismantle the Bailey.
That sounds much cleaner. But what does that look like on the page? Do you literally put up a title card or something?
You could, but the script itself needs to do the heavy lifting. Instead of weaving these Brigitte is a man comments through the whole thing, just create a distinct segment. Call it the leap of logic or something.
Okay, give me an example. How would I like that transition?
It starts with just an explicit statement of the facts. You script it like this. The Epstein files reportedly contain texts about a boyfriend and a photo. This is the evidence Owens has.
Full stop.
Full stop. You grant the premise of the Mott. You don't mock it yet.
And then you pivot to the crazy part?
Immediately. You follow with something like, now look at how she uses that single data point to validate a completely different theory, that Brigitte Macron is a man. There is zero bridge between these two ideas in the files.
That is so much more effective. Instead of the current draft, which just says, she's using this guise over and over again.
Right. You just state the tactic once, clearly.
Yeah.
You say, she is using a grain of truth to sell a mountain of fiction. That one sentence does the work of 3 paragraphs of the current rambling.
And it respects the audience's intelligence. You're showing them the mechanism of the manipulation, not just complaining about it.
Exactly.
I love that. Mechanism of manipulation. It turns the host into more of an analyst. But that brings me to my next worry. If we clean up the structure like that, do we risk the script becoming too dry?
That's a fair point, and it leads us directly to our second critique.
Which is?
Tone. The speaker's reliance on ad hominem nicknames and just mocking language, it undermines the objective authority of the entire critique.
I have to play devil's advocate here. I mean, this is YouTube commentary. Snark is the currency of the realm. The writer calls her Candy, Georgie Boy talks about mummies in the basement and quotes the "Why are you gay" meme. Isn't that just building rapport with the audience?
It builds rapport with a very specific slice of the audience.
The slice that already agrees with you?
The slice that agrees and just wants to laugh. But the writer's goal here, they said, is to be robust and logical.
Mm-hmm.
When you use terms like candy and Georgie Boy, you're creating a pot calling the kettle black dynamic.
Because Owens does the exact same thing.
Exactly. Her whole brand is being dismissive and using nicknames. If you want to critique her, you can't be her.
Yeah.
When the script mocks her husband as Georgie Boy Farmer, it just distracts from the logical fallacy, feels personal, not analytical.
So, if we strip away the candy insults, what replaces it? Do we just sound like a boring news anchor?
No, not at all. You replace it with forensic neutrality.
Forensic neutrality. Okay, that sounds intense.
It is. Think of like a coroner or a crash scene investigator. They don't look at a car crash and say, wow, what an idiot driver.
Right.
They say the vehicle was traveling at 80 miles per hour. It's colder, yes, but it's infinitely more devastating because it's undeniable.
Okay, let's apply that. Let's apply forensic neutrality to the script. There's a line where the writer talks about Owens suing a podcaster. The current text says,
That's definitely the reason to sue a podcaster, a mummy in her basement, right?
that line is such a missed opportunity. It frames the lawsuit as a joke.
So a forensic replacement would be what?
Something like, Owens is suing an independent commentator for defamation.
It sounds drier, but I see your point. It has legal weight. It reminds the audience that there are real stakes.
And what about the nicknames? Why are you gay, Candy?
That one shows up multiple times. It feels like a nervous tick in the script.
It has to go. Change "Why are you gay, Candy" to something like Owens fixates on sexuality as a weapon.
Ah, so you shift the focus from a petty insult to an analysis of her methodology.
You're exposing her intent. That's a really strong distinction. Exposing intent versus attacking character. It actually makes the speaker sound more dangerous to the conspiracy theorist.
Correct. And look at the section where the speaker dismisses Owen's rejection of court evidence. They write, that's not good enough for Candy.
It sounds petulant.
It does. Change it to, Owens refuses to accept court evidence regarding Brigitte Macron's history by treating Owens seriously as a media strategist rather than just a crackpot. The critique becomes a takedown. You're saying she knows this is false, but she's doing it anyway.
I like that. It elevates the host. You aren't wrestling in the mud. You're observing from the judge's table.
Precisely. Now, even if we fix the structure and the tone, the whole argument falls apart if the evidence isn't handled correct.
Okay.
And this brings us to critique point number 3, the everyone knew defense.
This was a sticking point for me. The speaker repeatedly says things like, everyone knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. And it's not that hard to see. I get the sentiment, but is that really an argument?
It's a weak argument. Very weak. It claims Owens' vindication is false because we already knew. But that completely misses the point of what Owens is doing.
Right, because she isn't claiming vindication on the general fact that Epstein was bad.
No.
She's claiming vindication on her specific theory that Brigitte is a man.
Exactly. So if your rebuttal is just everyone knew Epstein was corrupt, you're dismissing the specific allure of her claim. You're suggesting that her specific theory about Macron was known, which inadvertently validates her.
Oh, wow. I didn't even catch that risk. So by saying everyone knew, the writer might be accidentally implying everyone knew Macron's wife was a man?
It's a risk, yeah. It conflates the general corruption of elites with this specific and unproven claim. So the feedback here is simple. Bolster the connection between the Epstein files and the specific claims.
The speaker does mention the files refer to Macron's boyfriend and Steve Bannon, but they sort of breeze past it to get back to the everyone knew point.
We need to slow down and drill deep right there. Instead of dismissing the vindication as obvious, the speaker should analyze why the vindication is false based on the text of the files themselves.
So let's script that. How do we make that specific?
Okay, concrete example. Instead of saying, it's not that hard to see, say, Owens claims the files prove her specific theory about Brigitte. In reality, the files only contain gossip between Bannon and Epstein about Macron.
That is so much sharper. It uses the evidence that's already in the transcript, the Bannon connection, to drive a wedge between the files and her conclusion.
And we need to go further. The speaker notes in the text, the files cite a photo of a boyfriend, but then Owens claims the biggest clue is that he married a dude. The speaker has to highlight that discrepancy explicitly.
So the suggestion is to say something like, the files do not support the marriage claim.
They only support the affair claim.
Yes, exact. This shifts the argument from everyone knew, which is subjective,
To the documents don't say what she says they say.
which is objective fact. You strip her of the vindication not by saying, we knew, but by saying you're lying about the proof.
It essentially turns the fact-checking into a weapon. Instead of being defensive, we all knew, it becomes offensive. Show me the line in the text.
Which leads us to the final, and maybe the most important critique,
Okay.
the conclusion and the so what.
The ending of the source material, it really fell flat for me. The writer says, I personally do not care if he is gay. Let me know in the comments, do you guys really care?
It's the classic YouTuber exit. It's designed to juice the algorithm with comments, but it trivializes the entire video.
But isn't that just the game? I mean, you have to ask a question to get engagement.
You have to ask a question, yes, but you have to ask a better question. If the host says, I don't care, the audience has no reason to have watched the previous 10 minutes. It undermines their investment.
And asking, do you care if he's gay, just invites the exact kind of trolls the speaker's trying to debunk.
Exactly. The so what here isn't about Macron's sexuality. It never was. It's about the erosion of truth. The conclusion has to pivot from personal apathy to the broader societal implication.
So how do we fix the engagement bait? How do we ask a question that drives comments but still keeps the intellectual high ground?
We frame it around the danger of truth arbiter. The speaker mentions earlier that Owens is trying to be the arbiter of truth. That's the thread you pull.
Okay, give me the line. How does the show end?
Instead of asking for comments on Macron's sexuality, ask this. Do we care that verified documents are being weaponized to support unrelated trans investigation conspiracies?
That is a much heavier question. It forces the audience to actually think.
And you rephrase the final thought. Instead of I don't care, you say, the issue isn't whether a politician is gay, it's that influencers like Owens are positioning themselves as the sole arbiters of truth by twisting limited evidence.
Wow, that transforms the piece from just a reaction video into a media literacy lesson. It gives the viewer a takeaway that applies to more than just this one story.
It elevates the content. You go from look at this crazy person to look at this dangerous tactic. That is how you build authority and keep an audience coming back.
It really ties all the previous points together, too. I mean, if you fix the structure with Mott and Bailey, you fix the tone with forensic neutrality, and you fix the evidence with specificity, then this conclusion becomes the only logical endpoint.
There is one small detail in the files section I want to circle back to because it affects that.
Okay.
The speaker says, now one's going to go when we're looking at the Epstein files, how much of it is actually legit, and then admits, I think a lot of it's legit personal.
I noticed that. There's a bit of wavering there. It feels like they're hedging their bet.
And that wavering hurts the conclusion. If you end with the truth matters, then that earlier assessment of the files needs to be more rigorous. The speaker needs to decide, is this a video about Macron's private life, or is this a video about Owens' public deception?
And your advice is to choose the deception angle?
Absolutely. It is the only angle that sustains a robust argument. By focusing on the erosion of truth, you don't have to defend the politician. You are defending the standard of evidence.
That's a crucial distinction for a skeptic audience.
It is.
It liberates the speaker from having to, take a side in the political sense, Macron versus Owens, and allows them to take a side in the epistemological sense.
Ooh, epistemological sense. I like that.
Truth versus manipulation.
It sounds fancy, but it just means how we know what we know. And that is really what this script is struggling with. It wants to be about how we know truth, but it keeps getting distracted by the shiny object of the insults and the gossip.
So let's make this actionable for the rewrite. We've talked a lot of theory. If I'm the writer sitting down to edit this tonight, what's my checklist?
Okay, let's break it down into 4 concrete steps.
Step 1.
Organize the argument using the Mott and Bailey framework. Separate the gay claim from the trans conspiracy. Do not mix them.
Use the clips to do the work. Show the Mott, explain it, show the Bailey, dismantle it.
Exactly. Step 2, elevate the vocabulary. Go through the script with a red pen and cross out every candy, every Georgia boy, every mommy. Replace them with Owens, her husband, and independent commentator. Adopt that forensic neutrality.
Step 3.
Be specific about the evidence. Don't just say, everyone knew. Pull up the specific text about the boyfriend and contrast it with the specific claim about the marriage. Show the gap.
And step 4.
Fix the landing. Cut the I don't care apathy. Close with a strong statement on media manipulation and ask the audience to consider the cost of these truth arbiters who lie.
That sounds like a roadmap to a completely different and much, much better video.
I agree. The raw material is there. The speaker sees the hypocrisy, they see the logical leaps, and they have the evidence. They just need to clear away the clutter of the insults and structure the attack more strategically.
It's about discipline.
It is. It's about the discipline to stay focused on the argument and not the personality.
Well, I'm excited to see what they do with this. It's a heavy topic, but handled correctly, it could be a definitive piece.
We invite the listener to submit the revised script for another review. We would love to see how this evolves.
Absolutely.
That's it for the critique. Keep writing and keep improving.